Hello and welcome to Honest Not Perfect with me, Amina Hanif, the Senior Content Manager at Source Fashion. So this episode is a little bit different, as you can probably tell, because we're going straight behind the scenes from our flagship event earlier this year. So over the 3 days, I was able to catch up with some of our incredible speakers. We talked about the themes that they explored on stage, but also I tried to push them a little bit further, tried to pick their brain a little on how we can really move towards a more ethical and sustainable future for fashion. In keeping with the theme of the podcast, these conversations are honest, challenging, and hopefully you'll agree they cover really, really meaningful topics. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of the day here. It's day one, Source Fashion, and I'm here with Mark Sumner from RAP. Mark, do you want to give us just a quick intro of who you are, and then we can go into what your session was about?
Yeah, so I'm the program lead for textiles at RAP, and what RAP does is focus on systems transformation.
Okay.
And we're looking at how we can restructure, redesign the textile system.
Yes.
So it's better for the planet and for people.
Yeah, perfect. So your session earlier was kind of looking at just that, and you're on our debate stage. So our debate stage is more about discussion, challenging thinking, so it sounds like it's perfect for you. Do you want to give us maybe a couple of sentences on what are your kind of key takeaways were from the session?
Yeah, I think the one of the key takeaways is everyone is passionate and wants to do something that is better. The challenge with that, though, is, what does better look like?
Yeah.
And what was really interesting is the diversity of thought that was going on. And none of this is right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's just that everyone has a different perspective. So having someone talking about people in sub-Saharan Africa dealing with old used textiles, at the same time as someone talking about, well, what does this mean for business in terms of profit? And then people talking about climate change.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, the dynamic and the diversity of thinking.
Yeah. Was there anything that particularly challenged you during the debate or challenged your thinking?
Yeah, there was some really challenging thoughts around, we have to focus on business.
Okay.
And it's about what business can get from this, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Challenging in the sense of, we know business should be making profit, but it's trying to work out at what cost.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, but at the same time, I have to say, we also have to think about, business is important as well as all the other factors. So yeah, it was really interesting just trying to get that sort of connection of people viewing their position in the system relative to other people as well.
Yeah.
And not just, what I mean by that is, where we are in the UK in terms of that global picture.
Yeah, because do you think we're in a bit of a bubble sometimes when we think about our way of thinking? And I guess coming and having kind of sessions like this reminds us that there are lots of different angles to come at it from.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all guilty of this, aren't we?
Yeah.
We all wake up in the morning and go, right, this is what my life is all about. This is what we're going to focus on. But that's part of what we have to do, when we're doing our system transformation work at RAP, is we have to put a different hat on.
Yeah.
A different perspective, a different view, to be able to say, how do we know whether that new system design is going to work across the whole value chain, from cotton growers all the way through to consumers and then at end of life as well.
Yeah. And do you feel like you can pinpoint, maybe this is a ridiculous question, but do you think you can pinpoint something that's particularly outdated maybe within the fashion system that we're working within at the moment?
I think that actually is a really interesting question. Something that is outdated.
That you're just kind of like, why are we still doing this?
I think for me, and the work that we do at RAP, we focus on evidence base. So we have to build the evidence to really understand what's going on. So I do think there are some myths out there that just keep getting reinforced. Things like, natural is always better for the planet or better for people. So there are challenges around how we have that natural versus synthetic debate. The evidence around the connection between quality, sustainability and price. The idea that more expensive product is better for the planet.
Okay.
More durable.
Yeah.
So those myths that keep getting pushed around. So we actually find it quite hard internally when we do our review of evidence and go, actually that's not what we thought was going to happen, or that's not what we thought is the case. And we have to sort of unpick our own thinking
Yeah.
around these things.
Yeah, I think that's a really good. I mean, I think that is a good point for everyone to do in all life, really. So I think that's a good piece of advice. Do you think that there was something that you said today that you think maybe people disagreed with at all?
Normally, when I open my mouth, people
Okay.
disagree. I mean, it's just. But I think what I'm hoping happened when we were having the discussion about the system is, I talked about having some rules about how we do the system redesign. Evidence being key to this. We need to understand the evidence, and we also need to have that perspective, that view from other aspects of the system to avoid the unintended consequences. So I'm hoping people picked up on that and got that. The other stuff, what the solutions are.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's all sorts of debates that are going on, but it's thinking about that, the rules that we apply around that system change that we need to. I'm hoping people walked away with that instead of, I disagree in some other things, but understanding that system approach is important.
Was there anything what did people initially kind of move to when you kind of posed the question to them? What was their kind of instinctive reaction of like, this is what needs to change? Was there something that you felt that came out more?
Everyone had their own perspective.
Okay.
Everyone was going, this is important to me.
Yeah.
Or this is important. So really nice conversation with someone about how she felt that the workers weren't represented in the global south in particular. That's my focus.
Yeah.
And someone else was going, it's climate change.
Yeah.
And someone else was going, it's profit.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how people have their fixed views of their priorities. And what we're trying to get people to understand is that's important, but we have to build all the other things in for the system to work.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of showcased the complexity of it and the need for nuance.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. And what would you think, if there's one thing that you wanted everyone to leave the debate with, what would it be?
Is to be aware of your position in the system and move up and down your value chain to understand other perspectives.
Okay.
So in terms of your suppliers and their suppliers, but also thinking about downstream about your customers.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's B2B or B2C or even C2B, consumers to business, it's do that exploration. Push the boundaries of what you experience so you can get a feel for what other people are thinking about.
Yeah.
It's good for innovation,
but
it's also good for that system design as well.
Yeah, love it. I love it.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thanks for being here as always. And I know that we'll be seeing lots more of you and hearing lots more of you. But thanks for being here.
Thanks very much. I've really enjoyed it.
So we're here at Source Fashion on site. It's day 2, and we're speaking to some of the speakers from the day. And I've got Marguerite here. Hello, Marguerite.
Hello.
Would you mind introducing yourself very quickly, if that's all right?
Sure. So I'm Marguerite Le Rolland. I'm the head of apparel and footwear research at Euromonitor International, an independent market research company based in London.
Okay, great. So you did a session earlier today talking about kind of global shifts and trends. Could you give a little bit of a summary about what you talked about?
Sure. I think it's fair to say, with a lot of the uncertainty going around, from geopolitical tensions to climate change, fashion is really caught in the storm of all these elements. And what we're seeing is, to build resilience, it's important for fashion brands to understand what consumers want and what they need. And so we are redefining value really around innovation, fashion as a service, and things like that.
Do you feel like the idea of what fashion has changed, and the meaning of fashion has changed over the last few years, and what it means to the consumer?
Oh yes, that's really true. I think fashion has always been about self-expression, identity, and a very emotional purchase rather than an essential.
Yeah.
But what we've seen is in the last few years, since the pandemic really, fashion has had to transform itself so much and so quickly. It's really interesting and powerful. What we are seeing now compared to, after the lockdowns, I think everyone thought maybe everything's going to move digital. But actually what we're seeing is what people really want is this human touch.
Yeah, I'm missing that.
And it goes beyond their clothes. So that's why where I see transformation now, where I see fashion brands going, is really becoming around the services, the values they bring, and being part of the consumer's lifestyle.
Yeah.
So expanding into home ranges, travel, hospitality, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess people are buying into the brand a lot more than just kind of going in to buy a t-shirt. It's they want to have a story and they want to learn more about the brand itself and what they stand for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about being part of a community as well.
Yeah.
So if consumers likes the brand story, the brand narrative, and will feel part of a community with other people who are like-minded, that's really what will set the brands apart and a winning strategy.
Okay.
It's just said than done, but what's interesting is today, I saw on stage, the owners of new brands that are just starting, and there's a lot of demand also for smaller players rather than only the big players. So that's really an opportunity for everyone to come and have a story to tell that will resonate with consumers.
Yeah, and I feel like this is more like anecdotal evidence, but it feels like people are looking to help out the more smaller guys now, and they're seeking out for pieces and clothes that isn't what everyone else has. So it feels like there is more space for the smaller brands to kind of compete now as well with the bigger players.
Yeah, I think so. I think from a consumer standpoint, people are looking for maybe something more unique, something more meaningful as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned people looking beyond the clothes,
Yeah.
looking for the story. And from the industry perspective, I feel the larger players are also sometimes collaborating or taking inspiration from these small brands because that brings them new lease of life, that brings them the cool factor.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're seeing interesting collaborations sometimes
That's
between
true.
the smaller players with the bigger players, and how they can benefit from each other, from one bringing the wider reach and one bringing the cult following or the cool factor.
Yeah. And do you know, what examples can you give us of some brands that are kind of doing that really well, that kind of community piece and building the brand? Could you give us an example of like a small company and a big company that are doing that well?
Good question. Well, I think one company that's not small anymore, On Running, has done that very well. They really launched a product that stood out for its technical features, its aesthetics, and they built that up with an interesting brand storytelling, flagship stores and all of that. And so now they've become really big and influential. A smaller brand that is doing well, I would say, in London, I've noticed, is maybe the outdoor brand Houdini.
Okay.
They're a lot on social media. They are present in more independent local stores in East London. And I see more and more people wearing their jackets and their products.
Those are two really good examples. Thank you. So I wanted to just go back to your session a little bit. You obviously covered lots of different kind of shifts and trends and different elements of volatility that people need to be aware about. But if you had to say that there was one major shift or major trend that a brand or a fashion retailer at the moment should be looking out for, what would that be? I know it's a huge question, but
it's fair to say unpredictability is the only constant now.
Yeah.
So it's really about being able to plan for different scenarios and react accordingly. So I think if there's one thing to do, is really look into AI as a tool.
Yeah.
Either to engage better with your front end or to optimize operations in the back end. But I think it's really necessary because this can be the tool that will help you build this agility and collect all the information you need to know to make the right decisions quickly. Yeah, and I think there was a lot of wait and see and panicking a few months ago when it was all about the tariffs. Then the tariffs were paused and there was some relief, and then back again on the front stage. So I think you're right. It's harder to plan, but I think what we're seeing is a lot of diversifying efforts as well, where people will try not to put all their eggs in the same basket, to work with different suppliers in different regions, to work on different collections, some more trend-driven, some more basic, and balance out cost with speed to market by having different locations for production. I think it's something we'll see more of.
Yeah, and do you feel that people, I feel this has been happening for the last 5 to 10 years anyway, where people are trying to get their factories being more closer to home. Are you seeing that? Obviously, that shift must be happening more and more.
Recently we've heard more news of companies, for example, Amazon
Yeah.
or Shein and other market players, Steve Madden, have moved or are moving some of their production away from Asia to Brazil and Latin America as a move to have a shorter supply chain to better serve Latin America and the US market. I think we'll see more and more of that because just after COVID and in 2020, 2021, we saw a strategy we call the China plus one strategy.
Okay.
But I think now, with all what's happened, people realize this is not a safe strategy either. We need more than plus one.
Yeah.
We need a lot of different maybe regional hubs to be closer to our markets and not dependent or reliant only on one country for production.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and do you feel, I don't know if you can answer this, but do you think that there's a region that we're going to be hearing more about maybe within the next 5 years?
Good question. I think there might be several of them. I think with the current geopolitical situation, I see some markets like India, Brazil, Indonesia having a chance to really emerge as the new giants in fashion and in general economically.
Okay, great. I guess my last question to you would be, if there was one thing that you would want the audience to remember from your session, what would that be?
That would be ready for uncertainty and don't be scared. There are ways to remain relevant. It's about understanding what consumers see as valuable today.
Yeah, I like that. And also looking at it in a not all doom and gloom kind of way. There is opportunity out there.
And it's even maybe a chance for more sustainable practices. We've seen that as people rethink what they buy. Maybe we really have an opportunity to sell full prices as opposed to discounts because people value more what they have in their wardrobes, because it's not only a piece of clothing, it's a piece of clothing that tells a story.
Exactly.
And that also tells the world which community they choose to belong to.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much, Marguerite. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we really appreciate you delivering your session today.
Thanks.